By now, you probably heard about was director of the recent Elizabeth Banks, director of the recent Charlie's Angels film. Now I have little interest in Charlie's Angels, which is why I never saw it, and I'm not even gonna do this video to rag on like box office or lack of box office success because apparently it had a disappointing opening week, and I'm not here to do any of that. I specifically want to bring this up because some of the notions crosses over into some of the comments that I got regarding some of my let's say videos that were let's say against Captain Marvel, right? But also she specifically in her comments, which we're about to go through, in Australia's Herald Sun, she brought up comic book movies. So that's why I want to talk about it. I don't want to. I'm not fishing for views or anything like that, and I'm not even really here to just rag on the movie or anything. I just want to really bring. We're gonna just discuss some of these topics here. I'm gonna actually reference John's article, even though it's been covered elsewhere. But his article in Abounding in the comments because I believe they do some solid work. So let's go through it. So she had first, and we're gonna again talk about every single comment that's mentioned here, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts. So first things first, she says, "Look, people have to buy tickets to this movie. This movie being Charlie Angels. This movie has to make money. If this movie doesn't make money, it reinforces a stereotype in Hollywood that men don't go see women do action movies, which is interesting. More so because she's trying to tug on this idea that people have to see this movie. It has to be successful. It needs to be successful. And what she's saying has little to do with the movie itself, and more to do with you should see this because women. And that's always a recipe for disaster. It seems, doing some basic research in terms of her promotion, or some things she had to say, and even the other people that were involved in the movie had to say about the movie in itself. That's the direction they went in, and that's going to always be a recipe for disaster. Certain when though it's a reboot and it is recognizable, Charlie's Angels is recognizable. I think we're far enough removed from who was it, Lucy Liu, that was a company that were in the first movie or the last movie that came out, and it's not as current, if you will, as some other like franchises that are a little more notable, and they're going to have that to go by in terms of notoriety, and they just simply don't have it with Charlie's Angels. Now, I think that there was an element that could have got people stoked because yes, it is Charlie's Angels, but if you're going to go the direction of women, you have to see this because women, and those are the reasons. And then this whole nonsensical idea, which she's right in a sense that yes, there is a stereotype, but it's peddled by people that would agree with her in terms of her approach. Less to do with that actually being the case, right? Which makes the stereotype a tad bit nonsensical that men don't go see action movies with women in it. And it's just simply not true. If it's interesting enough, they'll go see it. And that's just what it is. But also, and this is the main part that we want to go through, and we'll go through some of this other stuff as well. They're going to see a comic book movie with Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel because it's a male genre, which not necessarily wrong about it being a male-dominated genre. Comic book movies and comic book culture is a male-dominated genre. So even though those are movies about women, they put them in the context of feeding a larger comic book world. So it's all about, yes, you're watching a Wonder Woman movie, but you're setting up three other characters, or we're setting up Justice League. It's funny, that was what I said. Well, not in its entirety, a little more detailed, but some of what I said about the success of Captain Marvel. Now, Wonder Woman is arguably the most notable female superhero. So they have that going for them, right? But you got to understand the difference in the promotional scheme between the two. Now, Captain Marvel, I think, is different in the context because the DC extended universe, if you will, is not nearly as popular as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think Wonder Woman saw the success that it had because not only was the first movie solid, it was a solid movie, but men don't want to, and I know it's the same with women. You know, they don't want to feel like they're being insulted into watching this film. And men went to go see this film because it looked interesting. There was no with Gal Gadot in terms of how she went on the promotional trail. It was a lot different, definitely in comparison to what some of the things that Brie Larson was saying, but it was not feeling as if you're being insulted into watching this. So I will agree to the sense that yes, people are going to see something because it may lead into other things or it's the character that's notable. But the same can be said for Charlie's Angels. Maybe not necessarily setting up other characters or setting up larger movies that have multiple characters in it, like you see with DC or Marvel, but we saw this and separately. I mean, let's talk about let's say me. I went and saw Wonder Woman for one. Wonder Woman was one of my favorite superhero characters, and two, it was interesting. It looked interesting. If it looked like it was trash, I wouldn't blame anybody for not seeing it. If it felt like you were being insulted into watching it, I believe actually Captain Marvel would have did way more. Would have been did way better had that whole controversy, if you will, wasn't surrounding it. Though I think most of the success is attributed to where its placement in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I just did a movie on that, but a movie on that. I did a video on that. Excuse me. But in the same respects, if that controversy wasn't surrounded, I think it does even more success, or it has even more success. Now she does reiterate that she is excited and she's happy for those characters, such as Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman. I hate that we even mention them together like that, but whatever. To her point, she's correct. But we need more women's voices supported with money because that's the power. The power's in money. Okay. I'm not going to disagree or agree with that. I mean, it is what it is. That's not necessarily controversial. That said, we're in charge. We're Hollywood. We're the stars. We can do it. We have to take control of this. And I feel like I'm doing my part of the new class that feels the same like Tom. See, and that's where she's getting it wrong. And that's the recipe for a disaster. It's, well, we are the stars. We exist. Therefore, and I think that seems to be key because this interview was before, box office, right? I think she thought that we exist. We have this one star here, but we exist. And we're gonna see success because of it. We can do this, and then didn't see success because it doesn't work like that. A lot of people simply don't care about that, and that's even with the comic book movie. A lot of people don't. And that's the thing, right? With comic book movies, the characters we already know and we're introduced to, right? All you have to do it's such an easy thing to do, but you'd be surprised how many people make this seem as if it's just difficult. Your job as the actor or the actress is to sell the character, make it believable to what people understand that character to be. That's it. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do, because there's already mountains of source material, and most of these characters aren't new, so we already know. All you have to do with your marketing and with the movie itself is convince us that that's the character. Convince us that's Wonder Woman. And we were convinced that it was Wonder Woman. That's it. But just think, we exist. We're women. Movie. People are going to see it. Doesn't work like that. It does not work like that, especially if you're going to try to shame men into seeing it, because they don't operate like that. You've had, and this is about the whole reboot culture thing. I'm not gonna have too much to say about it, but you've had 37 Spider-Man movies. You're not complaining. And what she's doing is she's referencing the whole reboot idea. And I'm with him on that. I'm not against necessarily reboots if they're done in doing respect to the characters. But here's some more comments made by her in July. No pun intended. One of the statements in this movie makes is when you what the hell am I reading? Is that you should probably believe women. Interesting. We have as much validity in what we're feeling and how we want to go about living in the real world, being in the real world, and that was really important to me. That we felt like we had characters that were being taken seriously and given a chance to live their best life. Okay. And she also says, when we were casting the movie, I wanted fresh faces. I wanted a diverse cast. It's important that women, the audience for this movie. Okay, so the audience is for women, right? So what was the point in, and maybe she didn't realize she was walking into that, and that talking about this whole idea of men not watching it or won't go see movies with or female led movies, action movies. I want the audience to feel a sense of ownership over the film, that they could be in this movie, that they could live in this world. It's a real message. So it's the whole representation thing. It's a movie that I want to entertain all audiences, but I did want to make something that felt important to women and especially young girls. So what is the point? And that's the difference, right? That's the big difference. And this is what we're going to end on. I'm not even going to talk even more about the comment, right? This whole idea is, or about the article, but this whole idea, that's it. That brings it home. She's let you know of her objective. Her objective was to empower women. You made it for women. See, this is the critical error that a lot of female-led directors, they put too much pride. And it's not even just directors like that are trying to do the whole, or female directors. It's you get we've had this problem with people when they make movies that have a predominantly black cast. It's the same thing, where it's about, okay, we make this specifically for this audience, and then get mad at the fact that other audiences either don't see it or you insulted them out of seeing it, right? Which is, I got my dog's hair all on my, whoa, what's going on here? Whatever, all right. But yeah, I got my dog's hair in my beard. What's new? Well, y'all see like white in my beard when I do my videos. It's not like I'm not going gray or anything. It's just dog hair. Anybody with a white dog knows that. But yeah, she makes it, she's trying to empower. She's using this movie, classic characters, classic lore that she did not create, to specifically put forth her social agenda. So that's a buttered up way to say that. When she says that it's a movie that I want to entertain all audiences, but I want to make something that felt important to women and especially young. That's all it is. Social agenda in the movie. That's all it was. And I'd rather them be honest with that, because then you let me know that I have no business seeing this movie. And this is what separates the action movies that tend to be male led and they have success, is because they don't even take that into consideration. Or the director certainly isn't, or the marketing teams certainly aren't like, look at us, we have men in our videos, or we have men in our marketing trailers, and we have men in our movie. They don't do that. They just make the movie. And that's what you have to do if you want men to watch your movie. Don't insult them. Don't try to, you cannot say that, all right, this is the target, which every single movie has, let's say, a target audience. But if you specify, and you're loud about it, especially, that, okay, this is specifically the target. My bad. Land's always ringing. Let me log out of this real quick. But it's specifically for this audience. The thing that makes good movies is that everybody from every single demographic goes and sees them, or more so makes those good movies, what people consider good movies, or just successful movies that kill it in the box office. Doesn't even matter if they're good or not. Obviously, you have to get the money of certainly a lot of different demographics, not just one single. And if you are over targeting that one demographic, that's what's going to happen every single time. Every single time. Certainly when you make it obvious that that's what it is that you're doing. Now, there are some times that may slip through the cracks, but for the most part, people don't go see that. Now, there are non-comic book based movies that, or like American comic book based movies that have recently saw success. I mean, I think Alita had a bunch of men that wanted to go see it. and a bunch of men that wanted to see it. But I mean, if you consider Japanese comics in this context, it technically is a comic book movie. I know it's based off anime as well, but nonetheless, people will go see it. People will still go see a female-led action movie. I'm pretty sure this whole comment section is going to be filled with a bunch of female-led action movies and female-fronted action movies that people were interested in. But if you lead with woman, this is for women, you got to see this because women, shame you if you don't see it, you don't like women or something like, that's not good enough, man. That's not good enough. I'm already looking at your movie sideways at that point. So the reason I wanted to talk about it, it wasn't just because of the fact that she brought up the comic book characters. I do think that this is a problem that a lot of people are adopting, this moronic idea that people don't see this movie or don't want to see it be successful. They have an issue with women, right? And they don't understand the critical error that they make. Dude, just make a movie, man. Even if it's exclusive or majority women, predominantly women in terms of your casting. Make the movie. Don't emphasize that. Because again, the male-led movies don't do that. That's why a lot of those action movies see success, because they just make a good movie. And then everybody from every demographic, doesn't matter if it's predominantly black, predominantly white, doesn't matter. They'll go see it. They'll go see it, check it out if they enjoy it. You think it was only black people that saw Black Panther? No. It was a woman that saw Wonder Woman? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But you just gotta go make the movie, dude. Just go make the movie. Go make the movie. That's all you gotta do. Just make the movie and make it interesting. Just make it interesting. But if you're leading with, certainly with something like Charlie's Angels, which, yes, it's recognizable, but not that recognizable, unlike some of the comic book stuff. If you're leading with, this is for women, women, and it flops, don't blame the men that you shamed into not seeing it. Don't blame the men. But the recipe is out there. The recipe has been replicated, if you will, with multiple movies that maybe were men-led action films. But that recipe can be repeated. It can be replicated with female leads, But that part of that recipe is, hey, director, it's maybe not a good idea to do a bunch of interviews where you're just making it seem like that's all you care about is the social agenda that you personally have when it comes to women and voices, female voices and such. Again, what's the point of that? Just make the movie, dude. Make the movie, make it interesting. Now, this movie, I don't think a lot of people saw that it was interesting. In fact, a lot of people doomed it for failure. But I had no interest in seeing it. And I'm not gonna make it seem, and I'm not gonna front like I wasn't gonna when I read this, now I didn't want to see it. No, I had no interest in seeing this movie at all. Regardless, this is not really my thing. Not really I just didn't really want to see it. But the recipe is out there. You make an interesting movie, and that's it. You got to make it interesting, and that doesn't mean that you're always going to see success. But I can almost guarantee that you won't see success if you're leading with women. This is for women. You got to see this because women, and nobody's going to want to watch that. Even other women are like, dude, like, this is tired, man. Get a grip. That's it.